In this video, I wanted to show you how you can insert and delete or remove rows, columns, and cells in Google Sheets. So we'll start out with the basics, just with rows and columns. If you go over to the left-hand side of your sheet and you right-click on a column, you can insert, or right-click on a row, excuse me. You can insert one above or you can insert one below. The reason it's one is because I only have one row selected. I can also delete the row if I want to delete that particular row. So I want to insert one above, so I'm going to say insert above, and my new row is inserted. Now you can also insert columns in a very similar way. You go up to the top, you select a column, and then you can insert left or right. And again, you can delete the column this way too. Now if you select multiple columns or multiple rows, and this time when you right click, you'll see that you have the option of inserting 3 because I have 3 selected, and I can do that to the left or to the right if I want to. I can also delete all of those particular columns. Insert 3 there, and all 3 of those show up right to the right of whatever columns I had selected. The same thing is true for when you are working with rows. You select a lot of them, right click, and it will insert that particular number above or below. This is really handy for inserting many rows at a time, so you don't have to do it just one after the other after the other. I'm going to undo those things for a minute. Now what is also kind of cool is now you can control click. So if I click a column and then control click another column, it will select whatever it is that I am selecting or clicking on. Now when I right click on them, I can't insert from this method. However, I can delete all of those at once, which is another pretty fast way to edit what is in your sheet. So inserting and removing or deleting rows and columns as a whole isn't too bad, and it's been around for a long time. However, there's a new thing out that you can do with cells. So if I click on a cell in here, I can right click on it, and I can insert a whole row and column by just selecting a cell. However, I can also insert or delete just certain amounts of cells. So when you go down to insert cells, you can choose to put the cells to the right of whatever you're selected in, or you can have it insert it down. This is really cool because it will move whatever is in your spreadsheet to make adaptations for whatever changes you need. I'm going to say shift right, and what that's going to do is add a cell and shift everything else to the right. You can do this with multiple cells, so I'm going to select all of these, right click, and I can insert right or down. I'm going to select down this time. And what it's doing is shifting all of my cells down and then inserting those 3 there. You can see that nothing was deleted. I just inserted all of those within that huge chunk of cells that had information in them, which is a really cool feature. And again, this works if you select them across. I can insert those cells the same way. I can shift right and it will shift them over. If I were to have chosen down, it will shift them down. So now that was inserting. What happens if you want to delete? So I'm going to select some cells, and I don't want these cells anymore. However, I don't want blank cells. This time when I click delete cells, I can choose to shift left or to shift up. So do you want the cells that are left over to go to the left, or do you want them to shift up? I'm going to shift to the left so you can see what that looks like. That took all the cells and moved them over to fill in that blank space. If I were to have selected delete cells and shift up, it will move them up. So really cool way to insert and delete little things at a time. You don't have to do a whole row or column. You can, but now you can do them at the cellular level as well. So that's inserting and deleting rows, columns, and cells in Google Sheets.